How to Stay Focused in a Chaotic World. Written and published by The Nest. Part 1. The Discipline of Attention. Focus has become the new form of power. In a world that moves faster every year, the ability to stay centered is what separates the creators from the consumers, the masters from the distracted. Everywhere you look, the modern mind is under siege. Notifications, opinions, comparisons, noise. Attention has become the rarest currency, and most people spend it unconsciously. The truth is simple but uncomfortable. Chaos does not come from the world, it comes from within us. The world has always been noisy. It's the mind that has grown weaker. To live with clarity today, you must develop an inner discipline that very few ever practice, the discipline of attention. Awareness, the first step of power. Most people believe focus begins with action, but it begins with awareness. You cannot control what you cannot see. The moment you realize your attention is scattered, you've already taken the first step toward mastery. Every time you catch yourself drifting, reaching for your phone, zoning out, losing presence, you are being handed a moment of choice. In that instant, you can either follow the distraction or return to awareness. That small act of noticing is how focus is built. It's not about forcing yourself to concentrate longer, but learning to return sooner. The strongest minds aren't those that never wander. They're those that return to focus quickly, effortlessly, repeatedly. Awareness must become a daily ritual. Check in with yourself. Where is your attention right now? Is it serving your goals or feeding your anxiety? If your focus were money, would you call yourself an investor or a spender? The currency of attention. Everything you give your attention to grows. If you give it to distractions, distractions expand. If you give it to growth, discipline, creation, those expand instead. Most people waste their mental wealth because they've never been taught to value it. They treat attention as infinite, when in reality it's the most limited resource they possess. Your energy follows your attention. Your results follow your energy. Therefore, the direction of your life is determined by what you choose to notice. The world will constantly fight for your focus. Media, social noise, emotional drama, endless tasks. But you must remember, you are the gatekeeper. Every day you decide who and what gets inside your mind. Attention is your territory. Defend it. Start seeing focus as a sacred act, an act of self-respect. To give full attention to one thing is to say, this matters. To scatter attention across many things is to say, nothing does. The inner enemy, the greatest enemy of focus is not technology, it's emotional noise. You can turn off your phone, but you can't mute an anxious mind. You can hide from distraction, but if your thoughts are chaotic, the noise follows you. This is why the discipline of attention is also the discipline of emotion. You must learn to calm your inner world if you want to command your outer one. Emotional self-mastery is the foundation of focus. The moment you feel overwhelmed, pause. Don't fight the feeling, observe it. Ask, what is this emotion trying to tell me? You'll often discover it's not chaos at all, it's just unprocessed energy. When you meet chaos with calm observation instead of resistance, you stop feeding it. The storm begins to quiet itself. The power of one. The secret to focus is simplicity. Do fewer things, but with more depth. Our culture celebrates multitasking, juggling everything, achieving nothing. But real progress happens when you give your full mind to one thing at a time. When you concentrate deeply, time bends. What would take hours in distraction takes minutes in clarity. Deep work is not just productive, it's spiritual. It brings you face to face with your potential. Each morning, choose one priority, one goal that matters more than the rest. Everything else becomes secondary. This is how you train your focus muscle. The mind strengthens where it is directed consistently. Don't underestimate the quiet power of singular focus. The world may not notice immediately, but consistency compounds. The scattered chase opportunities, the focused create them, building the focus ritual. Discipline does not appear by chance. It is designed. To build focus, you must construct rituals that make concentration easier than distraction. Your environment, your routine, your energy, all of it must align with clarity. Start in silence. Each morning, spend 5 minutes without input. No phone, no conversation. Just breathe and observe. This trains stillness before the world begins pulling at you. Schedule attention. Block time for what truly matters. Protect it like a meeting with your future self. Eliminate entry points. Before you begin work, close every tab, silence notifications, and remove visual clutter. Attention thrives in simplicity. Reflect nightly. Before sleep, ask yourself, where did I place my attention today? Did I give it consciously or carelessly? Reflection turns distraction into data. Over time, these rituals shape your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who lives deliberately, someone who directs life, not drifts through it. The shift from control to command. Control is an illusion. Command is power. Control means trying to suppress the world. Command means mastering your response to it. You cannot eliminate chaos, but you can remain centered within it. When the world is loud, command silence within. When others rush, command patience. When the environment feels unstable, command consistency. This is how focus turns into leadership. The calm mind leads not by dominance, but by presence. People follow those who stay composed when others break. Living with focus, the discipline of attention eventually becomes a way of being. It changes how you move, how you speak, how you think. You become intentional. You start noticing what most people miss. Focus isn't about working harder, it's about living clearer. When you focus, you begin to see patterns others overlook, opportunities others ignore, and meaning where others see none. A focused life is a fulfilled life, not because it's easier, but because it's aligned. You are no longer pulled in 100 directions. You live with precision, not pressure, and in that precision, peace is found. Focus is the rarest luxury of the modern age. Guard it, because when you can hold your attention in a chaotic world, you can hold your destiny. Part 2. The architecture of stillness. To focus in chaos, you must first understand that the mind is not built for endless stimulation. Every notification, every headline, every opinion pulls at your nervous system like invisible threads, leaving you mentally fragmented. The modern mind is constantly responding, rarely resting, rarely reflecting. Stillness, then, is not luxury, it's strategy. It's the foundation on which every form of focus, confidence, and wealth is built. Because clarity cannot exist in a turbulent mind. Stillness is not the absence of motion, it's the presence of inner order. It's when your thoughts stop racing ahead of your reality. It's when your energy stops leaking into everything that doesn't matter, the noise you don't hear. External chaos is obvious. Traffic, conversations, digital alerts. But the real distraction is the inner noise we don't recognize. Unprocessed emotions, fears of missing out, self-doubt disguised as ambition. These are the hidden drains of attention. You can't find focus until you confront that noise. It's the quiet restlessness that keeps you scrolling, the subtle anxiety that pushes you to multitask, the thought that says, if I stop moving, I'll fall behind. But true power doesn't rush. Power observes. It moves when it decides, not when it's provoked. The mind becomes still not through escape, but through understanding. You don't silence noise by force. You outgrow it through clarity. The environment of calm. Your physical space reflects your mental one. A cluttered environment breeds scattered thinking. The focused life begins with the art of intentional design, creating surroundings that signal calm and order. Clean spaces are not aesthetic, they're psychological. They tell your mind, this is where clarity lives. Reduce visible clutter. Simplify your workspace. Curate what you allow into sight. Each unnecessary object steals a small portion of awareness. But environment is not just physical, it's digital and emotional too. Audit your inputs, the accounts you follow, the conversations you engage in, the people you listen to. Every source is either feeding your peace or draining it. To design calm is to take ownership of your environment, to stop waiting for quiet and start building it. Stillness as a practice. Stillness is a skill, not a state. You train it like any other muscle, through repetition. A few minutes of silence each morning is not about spirituality or perfection. It's about reprogramming the mind to slow down enough to think. Start with breath. A slow conscious breath tells the body that you're safe, and safety allows focus. When you breathe with awareness, your mind stops reacting and starts observing. Then create intentional pauses throughout your day, moments where you don't check, scroll or rush. Let silence become familiar. In that silence, new insights appear, ones you'd never hear in noise. Boundaries as focus tools. Focus is not just what you do, it's what you protect. Every yes dilutes your power, unless it's aligned with purpose. Boundaries are how you preserve energy for what matters. You don't need to defend your peace aggressively. Calm people often seem detached because they've learned that over-explaining drains the very energy they're trying to protect. It's okay to say no without apology. It's okay to be unreachable when you're building. Every boundary you set is an investment in your future clarity. When you respect your time, the world begins to respect it too. The strength of stillness. Stillness is not weakness, it's control. It's the mark of someone who doesn't need chaos to feel alive. The immature mind needs stimulation. The disciplined mind thrives on stability. Stillness gives birth to strategy. When your mind is calm, your thinking becomes long-term. You stop reacting to the present and start shaping the future. Most people seek quick answers. The still mind seeks understanding. It doesn't rush decisions. It studies patterns. And in that patience, power compounds. Stillness sharpens intuition. When you slow down, your inner signals become clearer. What feels right? What feels forced? What aligns with who you're becoming? Noise blinds intuition. Silence amplifies it. Practical stillness. You don't have to retreat from the world to find peace. You just need to build micro-stillness into your daily rhythm. Pause before you speak. Words lose power when spoken in haste. Silence first, then intention. Move with awareness. Even walking or making coffee can be moments of mindfulness. Presence turns routine into meditation. Disconnect daily, not as escape, but as realignment. Every day deserves at least a few moments where you belong only to yourself. Reflect without judgment. Reflection is the bridge between experience and wisdom. Ask, what did today teach me about my focus? Each act of stillness refuels clarity. Over time, these pauses create mental strength that chaos can't touch. From stillness to power, the quiet mind is misunderstood. People think calm means passive, but calm is a weapon. It's the ability to see clearly while others panic, to move strategically while others react emotionally. In stillness, you develop emotional endurance. You stop mistaking motion for progress and learn to wait for the right moment to act. This is the paradox of focus. The more you slow down internally, the faster you move externally. Stillness creates precision, and precision eliminates wasted effort. When the world rushes, stay composed. When others react, stay observant. When the noise grows louder, grow quieter, and let your clarity speak for itself. Stillness isn't the goal, it's the foundation. It's how you build an unshakable center, the kind that holds focus even when everything around you demands distraction. When you can remain calm in chaos, you no longer live reactively. You move from control, not confusion, from strategy, not stress. And that is how stillness becomes strength, the quiet command that turns chaos into clarity, and clarity into results. Part 3. The power of selective attention. Focus is not only about what you engage with, it's about what you refuse to engage with. The mind can only hold so much, and most people lose their power, not because they lack intelligence or ambition, but because they allow everything to enter. Every message, every opinion, every headline, every emotional pull, all of it competes for the same limited space inside your awareness. Selective attention is how you reclaim that space. It's the discipline of choosing what gets access to your mind and what gets filtered out. It's not detachment, it's design. You are training your perception to serve your purpose. When you learn to direct your attention consciously, life starts to feel quieter, not because the world changed, but because you did. The law of limited focus. Every day, your mind wakes up with a finite amount of mental energy. Each decision, conversation, and reaction spends a portion of that energy. Most people deplete it before noon because they waste focus on things that don't compound. Minor irritations, gossip, unfiltered consumption. The law is simple. Where attention goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, results grow. If your attention is scattered, your results will be too. Selective attention requires you to become a gatekeeper. You decide what deserves your energy, not your emotions. Every moment you give to distraction is a moment stolen from creation. Begin asking yourself daily, does this deserve my energy? Is this thought helping me build, or just keeping me busy? Is this input expanding my clarity, or cluttering it? When you start filtering life through these questions, you realize how much of your focus was being spent on noise that doesn't matter. The energy audit. One of the fastest ways to strengthen selective attention is to perform what I call an energy audit. For 7 days, observe where your attention naturally goes, not to judge, but to understand. Notice the conversations that leave you drained. Notice the people who make your mind feel chaotic. Notice the digital spaces that trigger comparison or anxiety. Then, make silent decisions. You don't need confrontation. You don't need to announce your boundaries. Just quietly withdraw your attention from what no longer aligns with your direction. The difference will be immediate. You'll feel lighter, calmer, and more intentional, because your energy will no longer be leaking through invisible cracks. Focus grows when you stop feeding what weakens it. Emotional discipline, the invisible filter. Selective attention isn't just cognitive, it's emotional. You can't focus deeply if your emotions hijack your awareness. When something triggers you, the mind floods with reaction, pulling focus away from your goals and into survival mode. To protect focus, you must regulate emotion. Emotional regulation doesn't mean suppression, it means awareness without absorption. When you feel anger, insecurity, or urgency rise, you pause. You don't push it down or act on it immediately. You breathe, you observe, and you ask, is this feeling guiding me or distracting me? This pause is a superpower. It separates you from reaction, and in that gap, your intelligence returns. The emotionally disciplined person can walk through chaos and stay focused, not because they don't feel, but because they don't let feelings steer the ship. The myth of multitasking. Modern society praises the multitasker, the person who can juggle everything. But multitasking is not a skill, it's a trap. It gives the illusion of productivity while quietly destroying depth. Every time you switch tasks, your brain spends energy refocusing. The cost of constant switching is enormous. Fatigue, errors, and shallow thinking. Selective attention demands monotasking, doing one thing fully, finishing it, then moving to the next. It's simple but radical in a world addicted to distraction. When you give something your undivided attention, you access a different level of cognition, deeper insights, faster learning, cleaner execution. You enter flow. Depth beats speed, focus beats volume. One meaningful effort done fully creates more progress than a dozen half-hearted attempts. Protecting focus through systems. Focus cannot depend on willpower alone. Even the most disciplined mind gets tired. The solution is to build systems that protect attention automatically. Create focus rituals. Start each work block the same way, maybe lighting a candle, stretching, or setting a timer. Rituals cue your brain. It's time to focus. Limit decision fatigue. Simplify choices that don't matter. Meals, clothes, routines. Every small simplification saves energy for big thinking. Batch distractions. Instead of checking messages all day, set specific windows for it. You can't eliminate distraction, but you can contain it. Systems are silent discipline. They ensure focus even when motivation fades. Saying no without guilt. Selective attention means selective engagement, and that requires the courage to say no. Every yes you give is a trade of attention. Most people don't realize how expensive yeses are. When you agree to everything, you spread yourself thin. You serve many things poorly instead of serving one thing well. Say no not from arrogance, but from alignment. Your future depends on how ruthlessly you protect your focus today. You don't owe your time to every request, your mind to every opinion, or your peace to every conversation. The disciplined person doesn't seek approval, they seek alignment. The mindset shift. Selective attention is not withdrawal from life, it's participation with intention. You're not ignoring the world, you're choosing what to amplify. You're deciding which ideas, people, and projects get to grow through your energy. Eventually, this practice transforms how you live. Your days stop feeling scattered. Your goals feel attainable. You begin moving with precision. Life feels simpler, not because it is, but because you are. And simplicity is the highest form of focus. The mind that learns to choose what matters and to ignore what doesn't becomes unstoppable. Chaos may still surround you, but inside there is silence, and in that silence creation happens. Part 4. The Inner Fortress. Protecting mental energy. The ability to stay focused in a chaotic world is not about hiding from the noise, it's about building an inner fortress that no noise can penetrate. You can't stop the world from being loud, unpredictable, or demanding, but you can construct a mind so strong, so centered, that chaos becomes background static, present, but powerless. Focus begins with protection. The same way a fortress shields its core, you must shield your energy, not with aggression, but with discipline. You build walls of clarity, gates of intention, and guards of awareness. Every distraction that tries to enter must pass through those gates and prove its worth. This is the architecture of mental sovereignty, being the ruler of your inner world while everyone else reacts to the outer one. The principle of energy containment. Every person carries a finite amount of mental and emotional energy each day. When that energy leaks through distraction, unnecessary drama, or overthinking, focus dissolves. Protecting your focus means learning to contain that energy, to hold it steady, directed, and intentional. Imagine your mind as a cup of water. Each distraction is a small crack. At first it seems harmless, but over time the water drains. That's what happens when you overreact to trivial things. You lose your strength drip by drip. Containment starts with restraint. You don't need to respond to every comment, argue every point, or attend every opportunity. Not everything deserves your energy. Ask yourself, Will this matter in a month? Will this matter in a year? If not, you're better off conserving your energy for what will. Focus thrives in containment. Energy, when held and directed, becomes power, the art of emotional guarding. Emotions are powerful, but unmanaged, they are chaos disguised as passion. The key is not to suppress emotions, but to manage their access to your attention. When anger, fear, or insecurity rises, pause. Don't identify with it, observe it. The moment you observe emotion instead of reacting, you become larger than it. Think of your awareness as a throne. Emotions approach like visitors. Some bring wisdom, others bring noise. Listen when necessary, but never let them rule. You don't owe every emotion a reaction. Most feelings fade when you don't feed them. Every time you choose calm over reaction, your fortress grows stronger. The role of solitude. Solitude is not isolation, it's recalibration. It's how you return to your own frequency after being bombarded by the world's. Most people fear solitude because it reveals the truth of their thoughts. But without it, your mind becomes an echo of everyone else's. Schedule solitude like a meeting with yourself, not as escape, but as strategy. Step away from digital noise. Sit in silence long enough to hear your real voice beneath the influence. In solitude, priorities realign. Confusion dissolves. You remember what actually matters. Those who practice solitude move through life differently, slower, deeper, with quiet confidence. They no longer chase attention, they attract it, because peace, once internalized, becomes magnetic. Guarding against comparison. Comparison is one of the most subtle destroyers of focus. It tells you that your path should look like someone else's, that your timing is wrong, that your effort is insufficient. But comparison is built on illusion, curated snapshots, not full stories. The moment you compare, you hand your peace to someone who isn't even thinking about you. To protect your mental fortress, remind yourself, success is not synchronization. Your pace, your process, your obstacles, they are uniquely yours. The disciplined person doesn't measure progress against others, they measure it against yesterday's version of themselves. When you stop comparing, your energy stops scattering. You reclaim the focus that was wasted envying what was never meant for you. Digital minimalism, the modern shield. In today's world, distraction has evolved into design. Every app, every feed, every headline is engineered to hijack attention. If you're not intentional, you become a product, your focus sold to the highest bidder. To protect yourself, you must create digital distance. That means turning off non-essential notifications, curating your feeds, and replacing consumption with creation. Your phone should be a tool, not a leash. Your online world should support your real-world mission, not replace it. Try this. For 1 week, remove one digital habit that doesn't serve you. Mindless scrolling, constant checking, reactive posting. You'll feel withdrawal at first, but then clarity returns. And with it, the quiet power of focus. Attention is the new currency of success. Spend it wisely, protecting your circle. The people around you shape your mental environment. Some build your focus, others blur it. Protecting your focus also means protecting your circle. Evaluate your relationships through the lens of energy. Who helps you think clearer? Who drains you? Who celebrates your discipline instead of mocking it? It's not about cutting everyone off. It's about calibrating access. Some people belong at your core, others belong at a distance. Remember, you don't need validation from those who don't understand your vision. Protect your focus even if it makes you misunderstood. The fortress mindset. When your inner world becomes ordered, the outer world loses its power to destabilize you. The fortress mindset means you don't react immediately, you respond deliberately. You don't chase every opportunity, you pursue alignment. You don't try to control chaos, you control your energy within it. This mindset creates calm dominance, a quiet, strategic confidence that doesn't need to prove itself. The fortress is not cold or closed, it's simply selective. It opens for what adds strength and stays closed to what doesn't. You become your own source of stability. The storms may come, but they no longer shake the structure. The reward of mental protection. When you master the art of protecting your mind, you experience something rare, peace without passivity. You can move through the noise without being consumed by it. You make decisions with clarity instead of compulsion. The fortress you build is invisible, but everyone around you feels it. They sense your groundedness. They notice your calm. They realize that nothing external seems to pull you off center. That's not luck, that's design. You've built an internal world strong enough to withstand the chaos of the external one. And from that foundation, focus becomes effortless, not something you chase, but something you are. Part 5. The discipline of consistency. Focus fades when life becomes reactive. Most people lose their center not because they don't know what to do, but because they fail to repeat what works. Discipline is the quiet bridge between clarity and achievement. It transforms fleeting bursts of motivation into lasting progress. Consistency is not glamorous. It's not about intensity. It's about rhythm, the steady beat that continues long after excitement dies. The truth is simple. Anyone can focus for a day, a week, or a month. But mastery belongs to those who can maintain focus when it's no longer exciting. Discipline is love for the future self. Every act of consistency is a message to that future. I will not abandon you when it gets hard. The myth of motivation. Motivation is the spark that starts a fire, but it's too unstable to sustain one. Motivation depends on mood, energy, and environment, all of which fluctuate. Discipline doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on who you've decided to be. When you rely on motivation, chaos wins, but when you operate from discipline, you win regardless of chaos. The disciplined mind doesn't wait for inspiration, it creates it through movement. It knows that clarity is a result of action, not a prerequisite for it. You act and focus follows, you move and motivation returns. The system over emotion principle. Consistency is built on systems, not feelings. A system is a commitment to structure that protects you from your weaker moments. It's the routine that keeps you aligned when emotion tempts you to drift. If you want to stay focused in chaos, build systems that require minimal emotional negotiation. For example, schedule work hours and protect them like appointments. Define your morning ritual so your day begins with clarity, not reaction. Set specific times for rest and recovery, because overwork also breaks focus. Systems are how disciplined people maintain peace in unstable environments. They make progress inevitable. When the mind is tempted by distraction, the system quietly whispers, "You know what to do." The momentum of micro-consistency. Big goals overwhelm the distracted mind. That's why chaos wins. It feeds on overwhelm. The antidote is micro-consistency. Small, deliberate actions performed daily with intention. Read 10 pages. Journal 5 minutes. Execute one key task before noon. These actions seem small, but done consistently, they compound. Momentum is built not from intensity, but from continuity. Every day you keep your promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Every day you show up despite mood or chaos, your discipline strengthens. The goal is not perfection, it's repetition. The more you repeat, the less resistance you face. The act becomes identity. Soon you no longer try to be focused, you simply are. The identity of discipline. You cannot build long-term focus while identifying as someone who constantly struggles with it. The mind acts in alignment with self-concept. If you see yourself as easily distracted, you unconsciously prove it true. Discipline begins when you upgrade your identity. You stop saying "I'm trying to focus" and start saying "I am a focused person." This subtle shift rewires behavior. Every disciplined action becomes evidence reinforcing that identity. The more you identify with focus, the less effort it takes to maintain it. You are no longer fighting distraction, you're embodying clarity. The rhythm of rest. Consistency without rest becomes self-sabotage. True focus requires recovery. The disciplined know when to push and when to pause. Rest is not weakness, it's renewal. It resets mental clarity, refuels creativity, and prevents burnout. But rest must be intentional. Scrolling for hours is not rest, it's avoidance disguised as downtime. Rest with purpose. Take walks without your phone. Engage in hobbies that restore your spirit. Spend time in quiet reflection. When you rest with discipline, you return with double the focus. The distraction resistance habit. Focus is not just about what you do, it's about what you resist. Chaos constantly tempts you with the urgent and the trivial. The disciplined mind resists the pull of immediacy. Here's a principle to practice. Delay before you react. Before responding to messages, before opening an app, before chasing a new idea. Pause. Ask, is this aligned with my current focus? If not, let it pass. Every delayed reaction strengthens your internal command. You are training your brain to respond to intention, not impulse. The long game. Discipline is not about being perfect every day. It's about being relentless every week. Over months and years, consistency compounds in ways that intensity never could. While others start and stop, you move quietly forward. You build depth, skill, and credibility. You stop needing external validation because your results speak louder than your explanations. Success, peace, mastery, all of them are rewards of those who stayed the course long after enthusiasm faded. Discipline is the most liberating form of control. It frees you from chaos because it gives your energy direction, building emotional endurance. Consistency requires emotional endurance, the ability to stay steady when things don't go as planned. The chaotic mind interprets difficulty as failure. The disciplined mind interprets it as training. Every setback is a test of rhythm. Will you continue when progress feels invisible? Will you remain focused when results are slow? When you stay consistent during uncertainty, your discipline becomes unshakable. You realize that the real reward of consistency is not success, it's stability, the quiet power of routine. Routine is the outer expression of inner order. It turns intention into habit and chaos into rhythm. Wake up at the same time. Begin with the same grounding actions. End the day with reflection. These anchors tell your nervous system, I am safe, I am stable, I am focused. The chaotic mind resists routine because it craves novelty, but novelty feeds distraction. Structure feeds mastery. A strong routine doesn't limit you, it liberates you. It eliminates decision fatigue so your energy can be spent on creation, not confusion. The consistency compass. Ask yourself each night, did I honor my focus today? What distracted me, and why? What can I do tomorrow with more intention? This reflection transforms your routine into a compass. You stop drifting through days and start directing them, because focus is not a one-time act, it's a way of living. Consistency is not punishment, it's self-respect in action. It's how you prove to yourself that your word holds weight, and when your word holds weight, your world does too. Part 6. Mental minimalism, the freedom of less. In a chaotic world, the mind often becomes overfed and undernourished. We consume more than we can process ideas, conversations, goals, comparisons, until our attention is bloated, our energy scattered, and our clarity buried under noise. Focus cannot survive in clutter. The mind must be simplified to see clearly. Mental minimalism is the art of choosing less so you can experience more depth. It's not about deprivation, it's about direction. It's the deliberate removal of mental excess, unnecessary goals, thoughts, or obligations, so your full energy can be poured into what truly matters. Most people chase more, thinking it leads to abundance. But abundance is not measured by quantity, it's measured by quality of focus. A cluttered mind feels heavy, unfocused and restless. It's the result of unfiltered input. Too many options, too many voices, too much urgency. Chaos feeds on that clutter because it thrives where attention is divided. When you have too many open mental tabs, even small decisions become draining. You hesitate more, overthink more, doubt more, because your bandwidth is split among too many competing priorities. Minimalism begins by closing tabs. Not everything you started deserves to be finished. Not every idea deserves to be pursued. Freedom begins when you give yourself permission to release what no longer fits your direction. Ask yourself, what am I still holding on to that isn't aligned with who I'm becoming? What goals exist only to impress others? What mental noise am I mistaking for productivity? Simplify, and clarity returns. The psychology of letting go. Letting go feels difficult because the mind equates release with loss, but in truth, letting go is space-making, the removal of what drains energy to make room for what fuels it. You cannot focus deeply while holding on to every idea, every expectation, every identity. Mental weight kills momentum. To release effectively, you must shift perspective. Letting go isn't failure, it's refinement. You are not giving up, you're upgrading. Write down everything you feel obligated to do. Then ask, would my life lose direction if I stopped doing this? If not, let it go. Focus is not gained through addition, but subtraction. The economy of attention. Your attention is currency. Every thought you spend either appreciates or depreciates your mental wealth. Distraction is inflation. It devalues the worth of your focus by spreading it too thin. Wealthy thinkers invest attention wisely. They don't chase every opportunity, they choose the few that compound. They don't react to every problem, they identify the root issue and address it calmly. Ask yourself daily, what's the highest value use of my attention today? Then guard it fiercely. Minimalism isn't anti-ambition, it's refined ambition. It's ambition with direction, purpose, and peace. The power of single focus. In a noisy world, doing one thing well has become a competitive advantage. The mind gains power when it concentrates deeply on a single pursuit. Choose one goal and commit to it fully. Stop scattering energy across multiple unfinished projects. Completion creates confidence. Partial effort creates fatigue. Single focus doesn't mean narrow living, it means intentional depth. You can still evolve, expand, and explore, but not all at once. The greatest creators, leaders, and thinkers weren't multitaskers. They were minimalists in focus, masters of depth over distraction. When you give something your full attention, you unlock levels of insight that fragmented effort could never reach. Decluttering internal dialogue. Mental clutter isn't always external. Often, it's the endless internal dialogue, the loop of self-criticism, comparison, and over-analysis. The minimalist mind speaks less and observes more. It doesn't argue with itself all day. It decides once and commits. You can train this by noticing repetitive thoughts. Ask, is this thought helping me move forward or keeping me stuck? If it's not useful, replace it with silence. Silence isn't emptiness, it's bandwidth recovery. It's the clearing that allows focus to breathe. When your internal dialogue quiets, intuition grows louder, decisions become cleaner. Minimalism in goals. Too many goals create confusion. They compete for attention and dilute progress. The minimalist approach is to choose fewer goals with higher significance. Pick 3 domains that matter most: mind, mission, and relationships, for example. Then define one key outcome in each. Everything else becomes secondary. This doesn't limit potential, it amplifies it, because when you stop scattering effort across 10 directions, you finally move decisively in one. Most people don't lack time, they lack prioritization. Focused minimalism turns scattered ambition into concentrated power. The freedom of saying no. Minimalism requires courage, the courage to say no. Every yes adds weight to your life. Every no creates space. Say no to tasks that don't move the needle. Say no to commitments that drain your peace. Say no to habits that feel productive but produce nothing. You can't say yes to your highest purpose if you're afraid to say no to mediocrity. Saying no doesn't make you selfish, it makes you strategic. You are curating your life like an artist, removing what doesn't belong so that what remains can shine. The minimalist mind in action. The minimalist mind doesn't rush. It moves with quiet precision. It speaks less, listens more, and acts only when the time is right. It values clarity over volume. It prefers progress over appearance. It understands that power is not in doing more, but in doing the right things with full presence. Imagine living each day with mental clarity, where your thoughts are organized, your priorities defined, and your actions aligned. That's not fantasy, it's the result of deliberate mental minimalism. You become lighter, more intentional, more focused. You begin to experience the quiet confidence of knowing that you're no longer pulled in 10 directions, you're walking firmly in one. Simplify to amplify. Every great transformation begins with subtraction. Subtract the noise, and insight appears. Subtract the unnecessary, and power multiplies. Subtract the distractions, and focus becomes effortless. In a chaotic world, minimalism is not withdrawal, it's mastery. It's how you create mental wealth by investing your attention where it matters most. The world will always try to sell you more goals, more information, more urgency. But peace, focus, and purpose are built by those who learn to say, I already have enough. I just need to go deeper. Focus is not about doing everything right. It's about doing less of the wrong things with unwavering clarity. That's how you stay free in a world of noise. That's how you stay powerful when everyone else is overwhelmed. That's how you stay focused by choosing less and giving it your all. Part 7. The psychology of unbreakable focus. Chaos will always exist. The question isn't how to escape it. The question is how to remain unshaken within it. Focus is not built in quiet rooms, it's forged in pressure, noise, and temptation. To stay centered in such a world, you must understand not just techniques but psychology, the mental architecture that makes focus unbreakable. Unbreakable focus is not intensity, it's not the obsession that burns you out after a week. It's endurance, the capacity to hold your attention on what matters, regardless of what's happening around you. To build it, you need to understand the inner mechanics of how attention works, how emotion hijacks it, and how to train your mind to return to center every single time. The attentional loop. Your mind runs on loops, cycles of stimulus, interpretation, and response. Chaos interrupts this loop by constantly supplying new stimuli, notifications, conversations, interruptions. Each one pulls the loop outward, fragmenting your attention. To master focus, you must control what enters the loop. When something captures your attention, ask yourself, is this part of my current focus loop or a distraction? If it's not aligned with your active goal, you close the loop by ignoring it. Every time you consciously redirect attention, you strengthen the neural circuits of focus. It's mental resistance training. Repetition builds strength. Distraction never disappears. Your resistance to it simply becomes stronger. The 3 states of focus. Focus operates in 3 mental states: reactive, directive, and absorbed. Reactive focus is the lowest level, attention driven by emotion or urgency. You're responding to external chaos instead of directing your internal world. Directive focus is intentional. You've chosen where to place your energy, and you're aware of your direction. Absorbed focus, or flow, is mastery, total immersion where time fades and your actions become effortless. The goal is not to live in constant flow, that's unrealistic. The goal is to minimize reactive focus and spend more time in directive and absorbed states. Reactive attention drains you. Directive attention builds you. Absorbed attention transforms you. When you notice yourself in reactivity, don't resist it. Redirect it. Breathe, pause, and shift back into deliberate focus. This act of shifting is the essence of mental mastery, emotional stability, cognitive clarity. Every time your emotions spike, focus drops. Anger, anxiety, excitement, all of them narrow perception, hijacking the mind's energy. The mind cannot process complex thought while in emotional turbulence. That's why discipline begins with emotional neutrality, the ability to remain calm whether things go right or wrong. Neutrality doesn't mean indifference, it means stability. It's the grounded awareness that allows you to see situations clearly, instead of through distorted emotion. When chaos rises, don't suppress the feeling. Name it, observe it, let it move through. Emotion only controls what you refuse to acknowledge. This is the paradox of control. You gain it the moment you stop trying to force it. Calm is not a feeling, it's a choice made repeatedly until it becomes identity. The focus feedback loop. Every time you choose focus over distraction, your mind rewards you with small wins, cleaner thoughts, a sense of control, micro-achievements. These wins release dopamine, reinforcing the behavior. But when you chase distraction, you get the same dopamine with no progress. The brain learns that chaos equals pleasure, and soon you're addicted to noise. To rewire focus, you must retrain reward. You reward deep work, not instant gratification. You celebrate completion, not novelty. Small wins compound into confidence, and confidence fuels consistency. The more consistent you are, the more natural focus becomes. Focus isn't about fighting biology, it's about mastering it, reframing chaos as challenge. The distracted mind sees chaos as threat. The focused mind reframes it as training. When interruptions appear, see them as resistance training for focus. Each moment of distraction becomes an opportunity to strengthen awareness. You can't become unbreakable if you only practice focus when it's easy. True discipline is forged in discomfort, when the world demands your attention, and you calmly reclaim it. Every chaotic moment you conquer becomes mental proof that nothing external can control you. You're not avoiding chaos anymore, you're mastering it. The focus identity connection. You behave according to who you believe you are. If you identify as easily distracted, your mind will search for evidence to confirm it. If you identify as unshakably focused, you'll begin to act in alignment with that identity. Identity precedes behavior. Start affirming focus as part of your nature. Speak it, think it, and act from it, even when you don't feel it. The brain doesn't know the difference between identity and repetition. Eventually, the two merge. You don't become disciplined overnight. You embody it through thousands of small decisions that prove who you are. Focus becomes less about effort and more about embodiment. Training the inner observer. One of the most powerful mental tools for unbreakable focus is the inner observer, the part of you that notices your thoughts without becoming them. When chaos pulls you off course, the observer says, "Interesting, I'm being distracted right now." That awareness instantly creates distance between you and the noise. You regain command. This is mindfulness in motion, not spiritual escapism, but practical awareness. It's the moment you stop reacting and start responding with clarity. The observer transforms you from participant to strategist, from being caught in the storm to watching it from above. Focus as a form of self-trust. Focus and self-trust are inseparable. Every time you commit to doing something and actually do it, you strengthen the link between intention and execution. You prove to your mind that you can rely on yourself. But every broken promise, every "I'll do it later," weakens that trust. The mind stops believing your words. Rebuild it by honoring small commitments. Be impeccable with what you say you'll do. Even tiny follow-throughs create internal momentum. Self-trust creates certainty. Certainty creates calm. And calm creates focus. The return to presence. Unbreakable focus is not constant attention, it's rapid recovery. The ability to return to presence every time your mind drifts is the real mark of mastery. You don't punish yourself for losing focus. You simply notice, breathe, and return. Over time, this return becomes automatic. The mind that can return to center in seconds cannot be broken by chaos, because chaos only wins when you forget where your center is. Presence is your anchor, the quiet awareness that grounds you no matter how loud the world becomes. The result, stillness in motion. Unbreakable focus feels different. You still move fast, but there's no panic. You still face pressure, but there's no fear. You act with precision instead of reactivity. It's a calm alertness, a state of mind where clarity leads, emotion follows, and chaos fades into insignificance. This is mental wealth. This is true freedom. The mind no longer seeks peace. It carries peace into every situation. And when your peace cannot be disturbed, your focus cannot be broken. Part 8. Turning focus into high-performance execution. Focus without direction is potential energy. Focus with execution becomes power. Once your mind learns to stay centered, the next evolution is turning that clarity into decisive, consistent action. This is where discipline meets momentum, where what you think transforms into what you build. In a chaotic world, many people mistake thinking for progress. They confuse planning with doing, motion with movement. But real growth, personal, financial or spiritual, begins the moment focus translates into execution. You don't rise by knowing more. You rise by applying what you already know repeatedly with precision. To stay focused is to master thought. To execute is to master life. Let's explore how to transform your internal focus into external performance. Sustainable, powerful, unshakable. The bridge between them is translation, the process of turning thought into behavior. The world is full of intelligent thinkers who never built anything because they couldn't cross that bridge. They stay stuck in the comfort of clarity, never risking the friction of action. High performers, on the other hand, live by one rule: thoughts are only real when executed. When you have a clear goal, your next thought should be, what is the smallest physical action I can take to express this idea? That simple translation from idea to movement breaks inertia. Once motion begins, clarity expands. Don't wait to feel ready. Readiness is a byproduct of doing. 2. The architecture of execution. Every act of execution follows a structure, whether you're aware of it or not. Those who master it repeat it. Here's the simple architecture: vision, plan, priority, routine, review. Routine automates consistency. Review ensures you stay aligned. Distraction lives in the gaps between these stages. If you skip one, chaos creeps in. You cannot execute powerfully without rhythm. Execution thrives on predictability, not of results, but of effort. Your habits must be so stable that even on hard days, movement continues. Most people treat energy like luck, waiting for motivation to strike. High performers treat energy like a system, something to be designed and preserved. Your energy levels determine your ability to act on your focus. That means sleep, nutrition, environment, and emotion aren't just lifestyle factors, they're execution strategies. You don't have to live perfectly, you just need to protect your peak hours. Identify the time when your mind is sharpest and dedicate that window exclusively to your most important work. Guard it like sacred territory. When your energy aligns with your focus, your output multiplies without more effort. 4. The discipline of micro-momentum. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. High-performance execution isn't about doing everything fast, it's about doing the right things consistently. Micro-momentum means doing small, meaningful actions daily that compound into transformation. If you wrote 1 page a day, you'd have a book in a year. If you improved your craft by 1% a day, you'd be unrecognizable in 12 months. The secret isn't massive action, it's continuous action. Momentum isn't speed, it's direction maintained. When you move a little bit forward every single day, you destroy the resistance that keeps most people stuck. Focus means nothing if you never finish what you start. Completion is the ultimate expression of discipline. The mind gains self-trust every time you cross a finish line, even a small one. Train yourself to complete things. If you start a task, finish it before you open another. If you make a promise, fulfill it completely. Finishers operate differently. They think in outcomes, not intentions. When you think like a finisher, chaos loses control over you because you no longer seek distraction, you seek closure. Finishing is a mindset. It says, I don't chase new, I complete what matters. 6. The flow of decision. Execution dies in hesitation. Every moment you spend doubting drains the energy meant for doing. Clarity doesn't come from thinking harder, it comes from deciding faster. Make decisions based on principles, not moods. Create personal rules that guide you under pressure. If it doesn't align with my top 3 priorities, I decline. If it can be done in under 5 minutes, I do it now. If I start it, I finish it. Decisions turn chaos into structure. Every yes creates a world you must manage. Every no preserves your focus. 7. The feedback of failure. Fear of failure paralyzes focus, but failure is not chaos, it's data. When you fail, don't identify with it. Analyze it. Learn, adapt, reapply. The faster you re-engage, the stronger your focus becomes. High performers don't protect their ego, they protect their process. Every setback strengthens precision if you're humble enough to extract the lesson. Failure only becomes defeat when you stop executing. 8. Creating systems of execution. The mind cannot maintain high performance through willpower alone. It needs systems, repeatable structures that make execution automatic. Systems create freedom. A system might be as simple as routine, mental alignment, deep work block, 3 hours of distraction-free focus, evening reflection, review and reset. When your life is systemized, chaos has nowhere to enter. Systems make discipline easy because you no longer debate whether to act. You simply follow the structure you built. Freedom is the result of structure well designed. Even machines require downtime to function optimally. Rest is not laziness, it's performance maintenance. True rest isn't mindless scrolling or numbing yourself. It's intentional disconnection, stepping away to reset clarity, creativity and perspective. Work hard, then walk away completely. Let silence reprogram your mind. A rested mind focuses naturally. A burned-out one seeks escape. The world glorifies hustle, but sustainability wins the long game. When focus becomes execution, life simplifies. You no longer live in reaction, you live in rhythm. Every action connects to purpose. Every effort compounds toward vision. You stop chasing motivation because you've built momentum. You stop doubting yourself because you trust your systems. The external world may stay chaotic, but your inner world runs on order. This is high-performance focus, calm under pressure, precise under noise, consistent under chaos. You no longer ask, how do I stay focused? You live as focus itself, embodied, disciplined, directed. That's when your life becomes art, not random motion, but deliberate creation. Part 9. Building mental endurance and long-term focus stability. Focus is not a momentary act, it's a sustained state of being. It's not about how intensely you can concentrate today, it's about how long you can stay consistent across months, years, and entire seasons of your life. Discipline gets you started, endurance keeps you unshakable. In a world where most people burn out within weeks, true mastery belongs to those who can maintain focus through monotony, fatigue, and uncertainty. The difference between temporary success and lasting transformation is mental endurance. Let's build that endurance, not by adding more pressure, but by upgrading how you think, recover, and persist. 1. The myth of constant intensity. Most people approach focus like a sprint. They push hard, expect perfection, and collapse when motivation fades. But endurance isn't about intensity, it's about rhythm. Even elite athletes don't perform at maximum output every day. They operate in cycles: training, recovery, growth, recalibration. The same principle applies to mental focus. You can't stay in peak intensity without structured renewal. That's why consistency matters more than bursts of passion. Your goal isn't to stay on fire forever, it's to sustain a steady flame that never goes out. Consistency isn't built through emotion, it's built through systems. Every day your mental energy rises and falls like a wave. There are peaks of clarity and valleys of fatigue. Endurance means managing that wave instead of fighting it. High performers learn their own energy rhythms, when they're sharp, when they need rest, when creativity peaks. You don't force focus, you align with it. Plan your most cognitively demanding work during your natural high-energy hours. Use the low points for reflection, light tasks, or rest. When you work with your biology instead of against it, focus becomes sustainable instead of draining. Long-term endurance is less about more effort and more about better timing. 3. The psychology of recovery. Most people see recovery as a break from progress. High performers see it as part of progress. Rest isn't passive, it's the process where integration happens. During recovery, the mind organizes experiences, consolidates learning, and resets attention capacity. If you neglect rest, your focus capacity shrinks, your thoughts become fragmented, your patience shorter, your clarity duller. Make rest a discipline, not a reward. Create deliberate rituals for mental reset. Journaling, silence, walks, deep breathing, solitude. These are not luxuries, they are maintenance practices for high-performance living. True focus requires restoration, not exhaustion. 4. The boredom threshold. Focus endurance often fails not because of fatigue, but because of boredom. The modern mind is addicted to novelty. When results slow or repetition sets in, it craves something new. That's when most people quit, not because it's hard, but because it's no longer stimulating. But boredom is a filter. It separates amateurs from masters. Those who push through the boredom threshold enter a new level of focus, deep adaptation. The task that once felt repetitive becomes meditative. Effort transforms into flow. When you can find peace in repetition, you unlock mastery. Embrace boredom as a test of commitment. When your mind says, "This is getting old," respond, "This is where discipline begins." 5. Emotional endurance. Mental endurance isn't only about attention, it's also about emotion. Chaos often provokes frustration, doubt, or fatigue. If you let these emotions dictate your actions, focus breaks. To endure, you must develop emotional resilience, the ability to feel discomfort without losing direction. This doesn't mean suppressing emotion, it means acknowledging it without surrendering to it. When you feel anxious, say, "This feeling is temporary, my mission is not." When you feel tired, say, "I'll rest, but I won't retreat." When you feel doubt, say, "I act even without certainty." Emotional maturity is the stabilizer of focus. It transforms reactive energy into strategic composure. 6. The long game mindset. Short-term thinkers chase speed. Long-term thinkers chase mastery. The long game isn't glamorous. It's quiet, patient, and often invisible. You'll have weeks where results don't show. That's when most people quit, not realizing that growth was compounding beneath the surface. Endurance comes from identity. You must stop thinking like a sprinter and start thinking like a builder. The builder doesn't measure progress by daily excitement. He measures it by structural integrity, brick by brick, habit by habit. Every act of consistency is another stone in the foundation of your future. 7. The system of self-renewal. Mental endurance requires maintenance. You must create a system that continually refuels your mind, purpose, and emotional energy. Here's a simple model to sustain long-term focus. Reset. Regularly clear mental clutter, review priorities, delete distractions, simplify inputs. Recharge. Protect your mind with physical health. Sleep, movement, hydration, and nutrition are non-negotiable. Reflect. Weekly self-reflection builds awareness. What's working? What's draining? What needs adjustment? Reconnect. Align with your why. When purpose fades, discipline weakens. Keep your vision visible daily. This cycle prevents burnout. It transforms focus from an effort into a lifestyle. When your renewal system runs smoothly, chaos outside can't drain what's steady within. 8. The resilience of perspective. Endurance also depends on how you interpret difficulty. If you see every obstacle as a crisis, your energy depletes. If you see it as training, your strength grows. Perspective turns pain into practice. When something goes wrong, don't ask "Why me?" Ask "What is this refining in me?" Every delay builds patience. Every setback strengthens resilience. Every disappointment deepens clarity. The long-term thinker knows that pain is tuition for mastery. You pay in discomfort to gain in depth. 9. The principle of sustainable ambition. Ambition drives greatness, but unbalanced ambition destroys it. If you push constantly without rhythm, you burn out. If you rest constantly without progress, you decay. Balance doesn't mean mediocrity, it means sustainability. Alternate between high output and high restoration. When you work, work with full presence. When you rest, rest with full detachment. The mind that learns to switch fully between these two modes achieves endurance few can match. It's not about working endlessly, it's about recovering intelligently. 10. The legacy of focus. Mental endurance isn't just for productivity, it's for legacy. Anyone can focus for a week, few can remain centered for a lifetime. Your goal is to become the kind of person whose attention doesn't fluctuate with the season, whose commitment endures beyond emotion or outcome. That's what separates ordinary success from timeless influence. The world doesn't remember those who started strong, it remembers those who stayed steady, those who built, refined, adapted, and kept showing up long after the noise faded. To live with focused stability is to live on purpose. You move from reacting to creating, from chasing to leading, and as the years pass you'll realize the chaos never left, you just grew stronger than it. That's the ultimate mastery, to move through life with unshakable calm, precise intention, and the quiet endurance of someone who no longer needs motivation to move, because focus isn't something you practice anymore, it's something you are. Part 10. The art of focus as a lifestyle and identity. Focus is not a tool, it's not a tactic or a productivity trick. It's an identity, a way of being. When you live focused, you live awake. You become aware of what deserves your attention and what doesn't. You begin to move through the world with intention rather than reaction. In a chaotic world, this identity makes you rare. Everyone is rushing, multitasking, consuming, yet accomplishing so little that matters. But the one who learns to live with focused simplicity, grounded purpose, and mental clarity becomes unstoppable. Not because they do more, but because everything they do counts. The goal is no longer to stay focused. It's to be focus itself, calm, deliberate, unwavering, one focus as a way of living. You can always tell when someone is centered. There's a quiet strength about them, an aura of presence that cuts through noise. They don't hurry, they don't explain, they simply act from clarity. This is what it means to make focus your lifestyle. It's not about forcing discipline every day. It's about designing your life so discipline becomes your natural rhythm. You wake up with intention, you protect your energy, you speak less and observe more, you simplify decisions, you master the art of doing fewer things with more excellence. Every detail of your environment supports your focus, the people you allow in, the goals you pursue, the routines you repeat. Chaos loses its power when you no longer give it access. Focus as a lifestyle means living as the curator of your attention. You filter relentlessly, you choose deliberately, you move quietly, efficiently, and powerfully. 2. The identity shift. Focus cannot survive without identity. You act according to who you believe yourself to be. If you still identify as easily distracted, your behavior will mirror that story. But the moment you identify as someone who lives with discipline and clarity, your actions begin to align naturally. Identity is stronger than motivation. To make focus permanent, you must rewrite how you see yourself. Start saying, I am calm in chaos. I am deliberate in my actions. I finish what I start. I protect my energy because my mission matters. Say it enough, live it enough, and eventually you no longer have to remind yourself. It becomes who you are. That's when focus stops being effort and starts being instinct. 3. The inner architecture of clarity. When you think of focus as identity, you begin to care deeply about mental hygiene. You treat your mind as your most valuable space. That means clearing clutter, not just physical, but mental, old grudges, unnecessary obligations, outdated goals that no longer serve who you've become. You maintain mental clarity like a gardener maintains soil, removing weeds so growth can continue. Clarity doesn't come from adding more information, it comes from pruning what no longer serves. Each time you remove something irrelevant, your mind breathes again. Each time you simplify, you amplify. This is how focus becomes peaceful, instead of pressured, through constant refinement. To live with focus is to live with self-respect. It means treating your time, energy, and mind as sacred. Distraction is often self-disrespect, a quiet way of saying your purpose doesn't matter enough to protect. When you begin to value yourself fully, you stop giving fragments of your life to things that don't deserve it. You stop tolerating chaotic people. You stop explaining your decisions. You stop negotiating your priorities. You realize that peace isn't found, it's enforced. Focused living is an act of dignity. It says, I respect myself too much to waste my potential. 5. The focused environment. Identity thrives in the right environment. Even the most disciplined mind can falter in constant distraction. You must engineer your surroundings to support the person you're becoming. Simplify your space. Declutter your digital world. Silence notifications. Surround yourself with people who value depth over noise. If your environment constantly pulls you into chaos, you're not weak, you're misaligned. Design environments that make focus the easy choice. That's not minimalism for aesthetics, it's minimalism for survival. 6. Purpose, the anchor of focus. Purpose gives focus gravity. Without purpose, discipline becomes dry and mechanical. But when you're working towards something that truly matters, focus becomes effortless. Purpose transforms effort into meaning. To strengthen your purpose, ask, what impact do I want to have? Who benefits from my growth? What am I building that outlives me? When you connect your focus to something greater than yourself, distractions lose their seduction. Chaos feels trivial when compared to legacy. Purpose gives your attention direction. It answers the question, why stay focused? When you know your why, the how takes care of itself. 7. The discipline of emotional stillness. The greatest test of focus is emotional turbulence. Anyone can be disciplined when life feels stable. The true measure is how centered you remain when nothing goes as planned. Emotional stillness doesn't mean you don't feel, it means you don't get swept away. You breathe, you assess, you act from calm awareness, not reaction. The more emotionally stable you become, the more unshakable your focus grows. This is why self-mastery and focus are inseparable, because chaos outside can't dominate a mind that is still inside. Train yourself to pause before reacting. In that pause lives power. In that silence lives strategy. 8. Detachment, the final layer of mastery. To master focus fully, you must learn detachment, the art of doing everything with excellence but without emotional dependency on outcomes. When you detach from results, you stop forcing, fearing, or overthinking. You simply execute. Detachment doesn't mean apathy, it means freedom. You still care deeply, but you're no longer enslaved by uncertainty. You give your best, let go of control, and trust your preparation. The detached mind performs cleaner, decides faster, and endures longer. That's the paradox of mastery. The less you cling to control, the more control you gain. 9. Focus as energy flow. In essence, focus is energy flow. It's the directing of your life force, your time, thought, and emotion toward a chosen purpose. Most people leak energy through worry, comparison, and overthinking. The focused individual channels all that energy into creation. You become like a laser, concentrated, quiet, unstoppable. You no longer waste energy proving yourself. Your results do the speaking. When your energy is aligned, everything accelerates. Peace expands. Productivity deepens. Clarity becomes effortless. This is not force, it's flow. You stop chasing balance. You embody it. You move through life with grounded confidence, knowing that no matter what happens externally, you'll always return to your center. You no longer measure success by speed or attention. You measure it by depth and alignment. Your life becomes quieter, but infinitely more powerful. Each action carries intention. Each decision reflects discipline. Each moment feels purposeful. And the beauty is this: chaos still exists, but it can't enter your mind anymore. You've built something stronger. A focused life is not a perfect life, it's a present one. It's lived consciously, calmly, and completely. That's the art of focus: to move through noise untouched, to think deeply in a shallow world, to live deliberately when others drift. And when you master that, you don't just survive chaos, you transcend it, because the world no longer dictates your pace, you do.